UTPA men's and women's basketball in action against Idaho and Seattle. We'll see how they did. We take you inside the Bronx father-son coaching duo. And with the spring upon us, we preview the upcoming tennis and track and field seasons. This is Bronc Country. Welcome to Bronc Country. I'm Jonah Goldberg. This week it was the UTPA men's basketball team's turn to play their first WAC home games, hosting Idaho and Seattle. Idaho came to town first, and this was a game that was full of quirks while becoming an instant classic. Our first highlight comes before the opening tip. The Broncs assessed a team technical during warm-ups, so Glenn Dean goes to the line, makes one of two free throws, and it's 1-0 Vandals. That's going to be important later. The Vandals jumped out to a quick 11-point lead. Now they're up 10 with 7 minutes to go in the half, and Javon Farrell provides a spark. Brings the Broncs within 8. Less than a minute later, Hurley Johnson gets the Broncs within 6. Lori Toivonen brings the Broncs within 4, and then Jamal Dantzler explodes onto the scene. This layup brings the Broncs within 2, and this one ties the game at 31 with 2 minutes left in the half. Almost halftime, Broncs down 5. Dantzler from the corner at the buzzer. Broncs within 36-34. First possession of the second half, Shaq Hines hits the layup, draws the foul, and nails the free throw. The Broncs have their first lead. It's 37-36. Idaho responded with a 14-4 run to push their lead out to 9, but Hines is on the case. This layup makes it a 7-point game, and this layup makes it a 3-point game. Now, the Broncs pulled within 1 on a few occasions, starting with a couple of free throws by Shaq Boga that made it 54-53 with a little over 8 minutes left. Then Farrell brings the Broncs within 59-58 and 61-60 with 2 sets of free throws. And then, with under 3 minutes to play, we're back to Boga. Brings the Broncs within 63-62. Next time down the court, Broncs down 3, and this time, Boga pulls up from long distance and ties the game. 65-65. Now you might remember Jamal Dantzler scored 7 points at the end of the first half. Well, now it's the second half, and it's late in the game. Puts the Broncs up 67-65. 4.4 seconds left in regulation, Broncs lead cut to 1. Dean goes for 2 from the line, hits 1, so we're going to overtime. 2 minutes left in overtime, and look at Hines. Puts the Broncs up 70-69. 9.9 seconds left in overtime, Broncs down 1. Hines at the line, goes 1 for 2, ties the game. Idaho had a chance to win it, but Mike Scott misses. Farrell the rebound, throws up the half-court heave, and oh so close, but we're going to a second overtime. And the Broncs showed a spurt of offensive energy right out of the gate. Farrell with the layup here. Boga hits a jumper to put the Broncs up 4 with 3:09 left. It's their first 2-possession lead of the game. And then, 1 minute later, it's Boga again. Gives the Broncs their largest lead of the game at 81-75. The Vandals chipped away. Within 2 with 4 seconds left, Pauline Mapale goes for the line, hits 1 of 2, but the Vandals get the rebound. And after a timeout, watch Perion Calendret by the right elbow. Draws his defender away and then finds the lane for the bank shot. Puts the Vandals on top 86-85 with half a second left. And that turned out to be the final score. For Broncs to reach double figures in scoring, Javon Farrell had a huge game, recording his second double-double with 22 points, a career-high 17 rebounds, a season-high 7 assists, and 2 steals in 45 minutes. The 17 rebounds were the most by a WAC player in a game this year. Each of the Shaqs scored 19 points. Dantzler finished with 10.
It's a great way to learn from, great thing to learn from, you know what I'm saying, a heartbreaking loss. Every play matter, you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's like, oh, if I'd have made that free throw. So the whole team is kind of, we all can get better. We all missed free throws. We all had a couple crucial turnovers. We all had defensive breakdowns. So we all can get better from this.
It's definitely frustrating, but we know it's another game. So we just got to keep our heads up and keep fighting and get better.
You know, it's not effort problems, it's mental errors.
No rest for the weary, as 45 hours later, the Broncs found themselves hosting Seattle. And just like against Idaho, out of the gate, the Broncs find themselves down 11, but then Alex Majewski buries the 3. A little later on, Hurley Johnson hits the layup, and then Javon Farrell gets a bucket of his own. Broncs down 18-9. 6 minutes to go in the first half. Jack Hines with the layup. Broncs back within 8. And then with under 3 minutes left in the half, Jamal Dantzler hits a jumper to bring the Broncs within 24-17. That's as close as they got as the Red Hawks roll to a 64-46 win. Farrell led the Broncs with 14 points on 4 of 8 shooting. Also led the Broncs in assists with 4. Hines finished just shy of a double-double with 9 points and 9 rebounds.
Our defense was fine. We played good defense. It's the problem right now is just putting the basketball in the hole. We played good. They were bigger. We held them to one shot most of the night, so we did a good job defensively, and we didn't let them run their stuff. And the number 1 kid, the leading scorer in the conference, he didn't go off for a crazy big night. He had 35 a couple games ago. So, I mean, we did a good job containing them on defense. It's just we got to get it going offensively as a team.
They want to come out and play well for these people, and they're just nervous and can't get going. And all at once you look up and you're down 11-0 again, and this time you couldn't battle it back. We had some opportunities in the second half where we got it down to about 12-13, but couldn't knock a couple down and get Seattle to any point where they felt like they were nervous.
Here's a look at the WAC standings. New Mexico State, Utah Valley, and Chicago State, the remaining undefeateds. Chicago State is one of the Broncs' next 2 opponents. They meet Saturday afternoon. But first, the Broncs have a date at Kansas City on Thursday. One thing you may have noticed in the Seattle game is that the Broncs weren't the only team in the fieldhouse to employ a father-son coaching duo. The Broncs have Dan Hipsher as the head coach, his son Andy, the associate head coach. As for Seattle, though, it's the son, Cameron Dollar, who is the head coach, while the father, Donald Dollar, is the assistant. It's an arrangement that Dan Hipsher wouldn't necessarily mind being a part of sometime down the road.
Hopefully that becomes the case. He's a deserving kid, and I think he'll be a head coach someday.
For now, though, Hipsher is just happy to be able to work with his son.
Well, it's great because I think he's pretty good at what he does. Having your son on staff only keeps your wife happy, but in terms of being a coach, Andy's got a great base. You know, he's worked with some great coaches, Bob Knight, Lon Kruger, Stan Heath, been around the recruiting thing in some great environments. And so really from recruiter to floor coach to game prep to the whole parts of the program, he's well prepared and does a very good job in his field, and I'm proud of him for it.
This isn't the first time the Hipshers have worked together. Andy played for Dan at Akron, which was a great experience for both of them.
I think the fact that that I could play took care of a lot of that favoritism part of things, and I knew coming into it that when it came down to favoritism or getting the benefit of the doubt, that wasn't going to happen, because that's just the part of the situation that isn't fair to other players on the team. If me being the coach's son, I'm getting the benefit of the doubt here or there. So I knew that coming in, and that didn't bother me one bit. And I knew I had to earn everything that I got, and I think that's the way it should be, and that's how it was. And that had no effect on me, and I had a really, really good experience playing for my father.
That was probably tougher at times because, you know, you get demanding probably more on him than you do the other kids. So, and then Andy went through a lot of injuries, but it was a great experience. He was a heck of a player for us. I think he's top 10 or 12 in all the Akron statistical categories, and did a great job and had a great career, and it was fantastic to have him around and be coaching him and his brother.
To be able to have played for him and now coach with him, it's a unique opportunity and experience.
When Andy learned of the opportunity to coach with his dad, it was a no-brainer for him.
Oh, that was everything in my decision, was being able to work alongside him. And like I said, I've been around him a lot and learned a lot, but I haven't been on the same staff as him. And when you're playing for him as a head coach, you see things differently than when you're coaching with them. And it's been a extremely valuable experience thus far, and I know it's only going to get better, and I'm only going to learn more. And I've learned a lot on other staffs, and it's just awesome to be with a great coach and learn from him, but then also, obviously, he's family.
Well, I still look at him. He's my son, and yeah, he's got a job to do, and he does his job. But you know, when you look at your son, it's your son. So, you know, I don't hopefully don't treat him any differently than I do the others. And but you know, he's got the same demands that he's probably always had put on him by being a coach's son.
While the men were at home, the women were on the road. Next on Bronc Country, highlights from the women's basketball games at Idaho and Seattle.
Madness is calling. The 2014 WAC Men's and Women's Basketball Tournament. March 12th through the 15th at Orleans Arena in Las Vegas. 16 teams battle through the brackets on their way to the big dance. Be there to see who will go home the big winner.
Ticket packages on sale now at UTPABronx.com. While the men's basketball team was at home, the women's basketball team embarked on arguably their toughest road trip of the season, visiting defending WAC tournament champion Idaho and defending WAC champion Seattle. We start with Idaho. Bronx down 6 early, but not for long. Tanisha Walker with the layup. And then back-to-back threes. First, Kaylin Boyd, and then Alexandria Hill. 18-16 Bronx. 2 minutes later, we're back to Boyd. And then next time down the court, oh captain, my captain, it's Laquita Garner for 3. Caps the 13-0 run, Bronx up 23-16. Idaho comes back to go up 7 early in the second half, but the Bronx respond. Walker nails the 3 there. Jasmine Thompson hits the jumper. Brittany Bush ties the game. And then Boyd puts the Bronx back up 45-43. The game stayed close for a few more minutes, as this Bush three-point play gets the Bronx within 1. But the Vandals pull away down the stretch to win 76-65. Good to see Bush and Boyd back in the lineup and contributing. Shawntae Goff led the Bronx with 12 points. Sherelle Price had a career-high 11. Now, normally we would get head coach Larry Tidwell's take, but he's under the weather, so associate head coach John Ishii, you're up.
You know, we had chances to win the game. I thought that we played hard. We only had 9 turnovers, so we valued and protected the ball pretty well.
45 hours later, the Bronx were at Seattle, and they had a few early leads, starting with this Shawntae Goff layup to make it 2-0. Then Sherelle Price hit a 3 to put the Bronx up 5-2, and Talandria Nolan made a layup to put the Bronx up 8-6. The Bronx were within 2 at 12-10 after this Brittany Bush layup, but the Redhawks scored the next 9 points while pulling away for an 84-62 victory. Goff led the Bronx in scoring for the 7th time with 14 points. Laquita Garner scored a season-high 9 points while going 3 for 5 from the field.
Their three-headed monster of Sowell, Ward, and Shepard really took it to us. You know, they had great size. You know, they're very seasoned and experienced team playing at home. They scored 32 points in the paint compared to our 10, and basically, you know, there's other factors involved, but if you look at it at the end of the day, when you get out-rebounded and you give up 32 in the paint points and you only get 10, I think, you know, we lose by 20-22. There's a basic difference in the ball game.
Here's a look at the WAC standings. Idaho and Seattle at the top. Kansas City, who the Bronx hosts Thursday at 7, in 3rd at 2-1. Chicago State, who the Bronx hosts Saturday at 7, in 9th at 0-3.
We got a big homestand coming up with starting with UMKC on Thursday night. Need anybody and everybody to come out and support our kids. They're playing extremely hard. Good group. We're excited about the opportunity to get back to hopefully 2-2 in the league, and then go from there. But UMKC's a great free throw shooting team. They're a team that's got really good guard play. It starts with their point guard, O'Connell, number 15. She's got close to like 200 free throw attempts, so she knows how to get to that free throw line. And they've got good inside play with their post. They're athletic. I mean, they've got a good blend and balance of inside-outside play, and Coach Freeze does a great job. But we're at home. We really need to bounce back. We talked about it earlier today in practice. It's the most important game on our schedule this year because it's the game coming up on Thursday night, and we really we got to come out with guns a-blazing and bucking and bronking, and we got to find a way to win Thursday night.
Now that winter break's over, it's time to start thinking about spring break. I don't know about you, but I'm thinking Vegas. And what do you know? That's where the WAC tournaments are this year. You can get a ticket to all 14 WAC tournament men's and women's basketball games for just $165. We even have an in on hotel rooms through corporate travel. So give us a call or visit utpabronx.com/WAC today. Hey, we've been telling you Bronc Country just got a whole lot bigger, haven't we? Well, viva Las Vegas! Spring is in the air. It's already in the 70s in the Rio Grande Valley, and that means it's just about time for tennis and track and field. Coming up on Bronc Country, we preview their upcoming seasons. This week, UTPA students return to campus for the spring semester. It's in the 70s and sunny and a great time to be in Edinburg. For some of these students, though, it's not only time to get back to class, but the competition, track, field, and courts. The UTPA track and field and tennis teams opened their seasons this weekend. The track and field team had a preview meet at home in December, but it'll be their first time indoors since last spring. Of course, they're just excited to be getting back to business.
It is. It's very excited. For those that don't participate in cross country, this is their season. It's track season. So as a program, we're all excited. We've been working hard all fall, and we're ready to show what we've been working towards.
The Bronx returned 3 athletes who won indoor conference championships in the Great West last year, in Martin Cass, who won 2, and Jesus Alvarez and Jasmine Davison, who won 1 each. And they know it's going to be a challenge to repeat in the WAC.
Well, what we've communicated to them and the team as a whole is it's going to take more. We are in a new conference. We are the new kids on the block. What you did last year doesn't carry over to this year. It's a whole new crew. We've got a lot of work to do. If they want to get on the top of the podium, they're really going to have to work for it.
But before the Bronx can worry about the WAC championships, their sights are set on their 12-team meet at Texas A&M on Friday.
We just tell them to do what they've been practicing. That's why we practice. We practice for competition. So they continue to do what they've been doing, and at the end of the day, we'll see how it went. We'll get back to practice and try to show up again the next week and do better.
The women's tennis team is ready to hit the courts again after playing well in 3 fall tournaments. They're hoping that this success carries over to the dual meet schedule. The Bronx open up their season with a tough test on Saturday at 19th ranked Baylor.
I'm definitely excited to start the season. I've been looking forward to it all break. I've been thinking about this season and how it's going to be improved from last year. We have pretty much a new group from the last spring, and we've just added a new player here for this semester, so I think a lot of good things are going to happen for us in the future.
The Bronx have 1 senior, Captain Wanda McAllen, which makes this her opportunity to leave it all on the court.
I'm hoping she doesn't feel a lot of added pressure being her last season. I'm hoping she just goes out and enjoys it. She's trained really hard. She's come back, and I think she's done her work that she needed to over the break just on her own while she traveled back home. I think she's just excited for it. I think her teammates are going to work really hard to give her a good ending.
The Bronx also have 3 returning sophomores, Didi Fachikova, Regan Greenwood, and Julia Perez, who Coach Vallejos hopes will take the next step.
They showed me some good things in the fall, and so I think if they just stay on the right track and they stay focused and stay dedicated to each individual match instead of just looking forward too soon, I think that they should be good.
The men's tennis team also opens up their spring season with a tough match as they visit 12th ranked Texas A&M on Sunday. But just like everybody else, they're just happy to be back on the court.
First, it's just good to get everybody on the training court, in the weight room. Guys are healthy. So we're making progress that way, especially with 2 new guys. We also had another guy, we got a senior who was out basically all fall, so it's really we have 3 new guys, quite frankly, as far as I'm concerned. So it's exciting for me as a coach just to see the progress and to see how the guys handled themselves over break, over December, over the holidays, and be able to stick to it and make some strides and maintain the gains that we had made in the fall.
The Broncs have used this week of practice time to work on a few things, but are happy that they had a few weeks of winter break to recharge.
They did training over December, but you got to have time to recover and to recuperate. Some guys, a little dinged up more than others from the fall, so they had to, heal themselves that way. You need to spend time with family and friends. All these guys, all of them live somewhere else, except we have one local guy. Everybody else is far away. I mean, across ponds, across oceans and everything else, time zones. So it's important they get to spend time with family and friends. So, it's not the 3-4 hours a day, 6 days a week that they're doing it.
The Broncs are a very senior-laden team with 3 seniors in total, and they intend to lean on their seniors and their captain, Sebastian Job, this season.
It's not always something that I do. It just really depends on the team, depends on if the person really wants it and they exhibit the right, the correct behavior and always want, do the right things and make mistakes. They just don't make the same one again. And Sebastian has shown a willingness and a desire to be the captain. He wants to wear that letter C, and it means a lot to him. He grows up in a culture where being a captain means something, and so it's a tremendous value to him and to me. So he and I, we see eye to eye on that. So last fall he came to me. He's like, "Coach, I'm really interested in being the captain." And I was like, "All right, let's talk about it." And so the end of the fall, I spoke with every Bronc. We sat down eyeball to eyeball. We talked about a lot of things, and one of the things is about leadership. Always, and to a man, they all agreed that Sebi he's been leading us in many ways by example and also vocally and with his energy and just consistently, day in and day out, what he's doing and how much he cares about our university and cares about our tennis team and our program.
If you want to show your support for the tennis and track and field teams, or any of our other sports for that matter, donate to the Bronc Athletic Fund today. You can become a member of the BAF for just $50 a year. All of the money raised goes directly to student-athlete scholarships, so visit BroncAthleticFund.com today to see how you can make a meaningful impact on the lives of student-athletes. One way you can donate to the Bronc Athletic Fund is by participating in our 8th annual Bay Fishing Tournament, affectionately known as BAIT, on South Padre Island on April 12th. You can be one of 8 teams to win over $10,000 in cash prizes, including a $4,000 grand prize. There's also a raffle to win a $35,000 boat. Interest peaked? I'll bet it is. Visit UTPABronx.com/bait for more information.
Madness is calling. The 2014 WAC Men's and Women's Basketball Tournament. March 12th through the 15th at Orleans Arena in Las Vegas. 16 teams battle through the brackets on their way to the big dance. Be there to see who will go home the big winner.
Ticket packages on sale now at UTPABronx.com. Here's what's coming up for the Broncs. The basketball teams face Kansas City on Thursday and Chicago State on Saturday, with the women at home at 7 p.m. each day and the men on the road. Track and field opens the indoor season at Texas A&M on Friday. Women's tennis visits number 19 Baylor on Saturday, and men's tennis visits number 12 Texas A&M on Sunday. We want to thank you for stamping your passport in Bronc Country this week. Schedule another visit for next week. But until then, go Broncs!
Madness is calling. The 2014 WAC Men's and Women's Basketball Tournament. March 12th through the 15th at Orleans Arena in Las Vegas. 16 teams battle through the brackets on their way to the big dance.
Ticket packages on sale now at utpabronx.com.